What's up, guys? It's Benny. Abusive relationships can be overt or covert. It's overt when you see Emmanuel Macron get mauled in the face by Brigitte this week. It's a little more covert when the victim is mentally handicapped and clearly can't fend for themselves, like this.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do?
Look at that. That's the freeze frame right there. That's a freeze frame. Don't marry a childless, liberal, cat lady, wine mom wench from the suburbs. Please. Men, this is your warning. This image is your warning. This will happen to you. Joe Biden's so unbelievably evil. When you go through these videos of like the end of the Biden residency at the White House, because it wasn't a presidency, it was a residency. Joe Biden was dying of terminal cancer during the entire time. And they all knew it. And you can tell in this footage.
Reasons. This is the first time Jill has joined us, and it goes to show how important the issue is, which she's about to speak to the both of us.
It doesn't even look like Joe Biden.
Today, at the top of our meeting,
That's
Jill's
not Joe
going
Biden.
to give an update on
nose?
House Initiative, White House Initiative to
What is this?
fundamentally change the approach and the fund, and how we approach and fund women's health services. So I'd like to turn it over to Jill and for any comments she has. And it's all yours, kid.
Thank you. You know, sometimes the White House surprises you.
And then this battle axe just freaking runs the entire rest of the cabinet meeting. Joe Biden doesn't speak again. This is like the next 30 minutes is Jill Biden talking. Dude, she is just one of the single most sinister and evil people. And she, even after we knew everything, after it was all out and published and they were about to announce Joe Biden's terminal cancer, Joe Biden hours earlier had Joe Biden on The View, where he still got kicked around. He still got his ass kicked. Joe Biden was getting lobbed softball after softball on The View, and he could barely speak. Again, don't feel sorry for them. Get even. This is clearly elder abuse, right? And Joe Biden did so poorly here that Jill had to jump in, interrupt him, and then effectively take the question herself. It's really dark and sinister to see. Okay, so it's good to see that some people are finally speaking out against this from the highest positions in the land. Karoline Leavitt torching Jill Biden for lying about Joe Biden's health and thinking Americans are stupid. She mentioned this View interview. Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt accused former First Lady Jill Biden of participating in a cover-up about her husband's health, said she should speak with House Republican investigators who are ramping up the probe. We have more on that in just a second. Joe Biden's certainly complicit in that cover-up, Leavitt told reporters at the White House. Frankly, the former First Lady should certainly speak up about what she saw in regards to her husband, and when she saw it and when she knew. She teed off the question by being asked about Joe Biden's health cover-up right here.
Different topic. There are some folks in President Biden's inner circle who are now in talks with Republicans in Congress to give interviews about how they may have handled President Biden's decline. Is the president satisfied with aides only sitting for these transcribed interviews, or would he also like to see some kind of testimony from the former First Lady, Dr. Biden?
I think, frankly, the former First Lady should certainly speak up about what she saw in regards to her husband and when she saw it and what she knew. Because I think anybody looking, again, at the videos and photo evidence of Joe Biden with your own eyes and a little bit of common sense can see this was a clear cover-up. And Jill Biden was certainly complicit in that cover-up. There's documentation, video evidence of her clearly shielding her husband away from the cameras. They were just on The View last week. She was saying everything is fine. She's still lying to the American people. She still thinks the American public are so stupid that they're going to believe her lies. And frankly, it's insulting, and she needs to answer for it.
Ooh, man. It is painful what she's referring to here. It is. Just watch this with sound.
We found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic
And by the way, this is Joe Biden being asked, why were you such a bad president? Listen to it.
issues, and which I won't go into in the interest of time. And so we went to work, and we got it done. And one of the things that Well,
Well, and
talking too long.
Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
Look at her.
And they didn't see how
Look
hard
at her.
Joe worked
What a
every
witch.
single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop. It's the White House, being president.
You can tell you just tell she's lying. I was in bed and Joe was just working so hard. Lady, we know when he called a lid at the White House. We know it. It's public information. When the president is offline, they do something called call a lid. When they say there's going to be no more access to the president, there's no more events, the president has no more access, they call a lid when he's done. And they would do that at like 11 a.m. every morning for Joe Biden, 1 p.m. if he had a good day. Karoline Leavitt slams Joe Biden for covering up the mental decline. It's insulting. She needs to answer for it. Joe Biden may be subpoenaed to testify in Congress. Look at Joe Biden sitting there at the president's desk on Air Force One. Wow. With the presidential seal behind her. Goodness, what exactly is she looking at there? What documents is Jill Biden thumbing through? It really makes you wonder. She's just like the dumbass first lady, right? Karoline Leavitt called out Jill Biden and her lies. Jill is complicit in the cover-up. Good to see. Great question. Demanding accountability, finally. Called out for lying. She still thinks American public are so stupid that they will believe her. Drag Jill in front of Congress and make her testify under oath. That's right. Well done. Project Veritas had an interesting release here where they have David Hogg, the vice chair of the DNC, on camera talking about how Jill Biden's team was the one coordinating the cover-up of Joe Biden and his health, pointing directly to Jill. Very interesting that Jill is sitting there in this video when Joe Biden announced this after his terminal cancer diagnosis that they had been hiding, because clearly you don't just pop up with that kind of thing. It's something that you live with for years. Prostate cancer, metastasizing to the bone. Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned we are strongest in the broken places. What the hell? What does that even mean? What are you talking about? Yes. If I have a plate and it's shattered, it's the strongest where it shattered. What's wrong with you? Well, at least we know that Joe Biden wrote this. Or not, I don't know. Thank you for lifting us up. I'm telling you guys, cat ladies, look at the, do you not want to be Joe Biden? If you don't want to be Joe Biden when you grow up, don't this, okay? Don't that, obviously. The entire internet now completely losing it over Joe Biden, saying like, geez, man, she's just such a freaking witch, and good, like, and rightly deserved. We asked this morning, actually, a very powerful senator who's leading the health cover-up of Joe Biden about Jill Biden. His name's Ron Johnson. He broke some news this morning saying, yeah, I am absolutely planning on bringing in Jill Biden to be subpoenaed for the Biden health cover-up. Here we go. Fast forward to something that broke just a week ago. Joe Biden had terminal cancer through his entire presidency. At the White House, Joe Biden had terminal cancer and perhaps was being treated. Many speculating that this was all those calling a lid at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, zipping off to Delaware for 3-day weekends and 4-day weekends every weekend, 577 days on vacation. Many speculating that could be Biden having cancer treatments or just maybe being so exhausted from this. You are leading the investigation into the Biden health crisis and cover up in the Senate. How are you gonna carve up this probably the greatest scandal in modern American history, Senator?
Well, you start with a serious investigation. And we'll start with, and we've issued letters to, I think, 28 individuals, people that you would expect had constant or frequent contact with President Biden. And you ask them some basic questions. I'm primarily concerned about, because we all saw his physical deterioration. Nobody takes joy in that. I mean, it's nothing good about getting old. But I'm most concerned about his mental deterioration, which was pretty obvious, I think, for a couple of years. I would say even during his initial campaign, which the press covered up for him, allowed him to win the presidency campaigning from his basement. But I'm primarily concerned about that mental incapacity. And what did the cabinet, what did the vice president do? What were their discussions? There's a reason we have a 25th Amendment. This is the most powerful elected official in the world, in the history of the world. He has access to the nuclear codes. The administration makes decisions that impact every American and, quite honestly, impact people globally. You can't afford to have somebody who is mentally incapacitated in that position. That's why we have a 25th Amendment, and it is the responsibility. These individuals take an oath to uphold the Constitution. That includes the 25th Amendment. And that means if they witness the president incapable of fulfilling the duties of the president, they need to discuss it amongst themselves. I'm not saying it'd be an easy decision, but they need to invoke the 25th Amendment to protect the Constitution, to protect this nation, to protect American citizens. And we need to determine, who knew what, when, who was really in charge of the auto pen, who was making these decisions. We've got to get to the bottom of it. But that'll be in itself a painstaking investigation. We need to bring these people in one at a time, individually, transcribed interviews, compare what they tell us to what other people tell us. This isn't going to be swift. This is no time for a swift show trial type of hearing. Bring people before us without having the documentation to back up the investigations and the interviews.
Are you going to bring in Joe Biden?
I can't say that right now. Right now, we're going to focus on elected and appointed officials and find out what they know, and then we'll see where the investigation leads us.
Would you consider bringing in Jill Biden?
Yeah, listen, if I have to subpoena people, I'll subpoena them. And based on what we find out, we'll request additional interviews and subpoena people that we think we need to talk to. Again, I intend to conduct a serious investigation because this is a serious matter. This isn't just some political witch hunt. This is a serious matter for future administrations. Again, the 25th Amendment was set up for a reason. It wasn't invoked. I think you can probably argue just on what we know now, it probably should have been invoked, and we need to understand why it wasn't.